Good evening. Welcome to the City of Joliet Pre-Council meeting for Monday, November 6th. The Honorable Mayor Terry Darcy presiding.
We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Darcy.
Here.
Councilman Cardenas.
Here.
Councilman Clement.
Here.
Councilman Guerrero.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilwoman Ibarra.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Here.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Here.
First on the agenda this evening is a presentation, Joliet Fire Department Community Care Program, presented by Fire Chief Jeff Carey.
We know. Good evening. The fire department's been working since we started community risk reduction programs on a program we call our community care program. It's basically a program where we look at all the risks of the community, we develop partnerships with other people, and we're basically a conduit to resources for our community. We've been doing it with the fire department for about the last year and a half. We've recently involved the police department's been working with us, and all of our social service groups in Joliet kind of been working together to try to help solve a lot of the basic needs issues in our community. So the HUB programs were first developed in Canada in 2011, and Saskatchewan, Canada was the first one to, and they, over the first 10 years, by taking care of their community's basic needs, were able to reduce their crime in their community by 37%. So basically the hubs are just a model of individual human services companies coming together. Everybody sees things from a different angle, and we meet together weekly to try to address the issues. We based ours off of the Chelsea and Worcester, Massachusetts programs. And the reason we chose those was Chelsea is run by the police department, Worcester is run by the fire department. In Chelsea, they've seen a drastic drop in crime. In Worcester, they've seen a drastic drop in their homelessness. The important thing to remember about kind of the hub model is it's not its own entity. It's a conversation that happens between the city, the fire police departments, other city departments, and our social service groups, and we come together to try to solve some of the issues going on in our community. It's just one piece of the entire overall strategy. Keynote to notice about it, it's a risk-based other than incident-driven. When we looked at our incident numbers, that's how we gained most of our data, that's how we came up with the mental health program, because we've seen that was such a big need, accounting for almost 15% of our calls. But over the last year and a half, we developed a model where our crews could give us feedback from the street, because first responders see a lot of issues that are in people's homes that most people don't see. And when their information came back, basic needs in our homes, in our community, were more at risk than it was our mental health and everything else. So, and that goes back to the old Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If we're not addressing those lower level basic needs, we want our citizens to thrive, not just survive. So, that's kind of where this all comes in. And we use the multi-lens approach, and what that really means is the fire department, we see things one way, police see things one way, hospitals see things one way, and if I see one issue, it might not seem like a big problem. If the police see one issue, it might not seem like a big problem. But when 5 of us see all singular issues and we come together and talk about it, now we can see that there's actually a problem there. And the key is we want to get ahead of it. Why are we, if you ask any probably police or firefighter on the street, they see people's houses they go to, maybe not to necessarily the problem yet, but they see them over and over and we know a problem's coming. So this is the thing, or why are we waiting? This program's developed to, when we see those things coming, when we see what's going on in the community, to get ahead of that problem, bring those services to the people before a problem develops so we don't have to respond. I'll get into what the acute level of risk, and it's about offering support. It's not about an enforcement program. Like I just said, it's based off of the success of these other programs. Even though the city of Joliet, we're the driving implementation of the process, no one agency is in charge of the table. We all come together with our community groups together to try to, as a collaborative effort, to try to solve the issues by working together. So acutely elevated risk, what we've seen as we've been doing this in the past year and researching it, was a lot of our residents, when they need help from organization, they need help from more than one. The people that we've helped in the last year needed an average of 5.3 different organizations to help them solve one issue. And the problem that goes on now is we send them to one place. If that's not the right place, they give up. Or if it is the right place, they only solve that one issue. Well, we haven't solved all the wraparound services. So by bringing everybody together weekly, we're all in the same room I don't have to make 5 phone calls. We're all there and, hey, we've got this individual that has these issues going on. And we'll name maybe 5 issues and who can help with this. And you can help with this one, you can help with this one. And then we build a team around those risks and we go to that individual and we try to address that risk within 24 to 48 hours. And this is what I talk about the multi-lens approach. You know, we all see things from our own different angles, but when we bring all those together, then the whole picture will make sense. So that's what we're trying to do here is bring everybody together on a weekly basis. And this one's from Chelsea. You see, there's a 6.3 risk factors for situation. Ours is about 5.3. But we've noticed that if they go to the wrong place, they don't follow through. But if we have everybody in the same room, we'll make sure we follow through. But one thing different we're doing here that Chelsea and Worcester don't do is involve in our community organizations. We have many different organizations throughout the city. And like I said, police and fire and first responders, we're great at it. We're in people's homes and see problems before they happen. But we only are there after a response takes place. The people in the community, they're gonna see problems before we'll ever hopefully even see them. So if we get our strong community organizations involved, they can let us know, hey, you know, this kid, he hasn't been going to school, or my neighbor just lost their job. They'll see that before a response even takes effect. And by that happening, we're hoping to get ahead of these problems so we never have to respond. And this is important because the city of Joliet cannot do this alone. I've heard Deputy Chief Brown say this a lot of times in meetings that, you know, a lot of people ask the police or fire to do a lot of things that we're just not equipped to do. And he's right on. The city of Joliet can't handle all these problems alone, but the resources are in our community if we all just work together, and together we can accomplish these things. The problem is everybody's doing their own thing all the time and not talking to each other. So by bringing everybody together, we're hoping to solve that issue and then involve the neighborhood so we can get ahead of these issues before they become a problem. And this is actually just what it looks like. The cities, we're here to help, we're the hub, that's why they call them hub programs. And these are all the services around somebody that we're gonna connect you to. And the problem when a person's down in a crisis, it's hard enough for us to navigate the system, let alone somebody who's in crisis. So by us helping them navigate it, we've already made, in the past year, we've met with 93 different social service groups in Will County. Some of them we meet with more weekly, some of them monthly. About 25 of them are gonna be our main partners that we'll meet with all the time. The other about 70 of them, we might need them once in a while, but at least we've made that relationship. And what we did is we asked each one of them, what do you do best? What do you do best? And so now we have a list of them. When somebody has a problem, we know right to who to call so we can find those resources for them. And like I said, we build that team around them. Within 24 to 48 hours, we go out and visit that individual and offer them the services. Not everybody's gonna take them, but at least we're making that offer to try to. So we've come up with this form we've had this on the fire department page as we've been testing it out. And what this is, it's an avenue for anyone in the city can use. When people contact you guys, you can use within the city departments. We're gonna as we get this out more of the city departments, we'll let everybody know how it goes. You can go on here, fill this out, and it sends an email. Then we got a dedicated email address that comes to 5 of us now. Somebody will answer that email within 48 hours, and we will get you start hooked up with these resources. So it's an easy way for us to have people in the community can go on here, tell us what's going on, and somebody's gonna reach out to them. This is just the end of that form. So in a quick summary, the whole point of this program is we wanna identify the vulnerable populations or individuals in our community. And then we wanna find out what is the problem going on, what's the real problem. A lot of times we got on these 911 calls, they don't need the ER, they're calling us for something else. And in the past, I know when I was on the ambulance, we had nowhere to direct them to. It was just, you know, call an electrician or call a plumber. Well, now we know where to direct them to. So now that we identify the problem and we identify what barriers they have, we've already identified our resources in the community that can help them. We build that team around those risks that they're having, and then the follow-up and report is key. If you don't follow through even with any of these groups to keep them on task, they might fall off. But we do that follow-up, make sure that whatever their need was met, and then we move on. We've had, as we've been trialing this system out, we've had nothing but good comments from the community so far. So now we're working with the police department that we're ready to go on a larger scale to get this out to the community. And as it's building, we'll have a lot more of it out there so everybody knows how to access it. So I could talk about it for an hour, but that was like the quick Cliff Note version. So you guys have any questions on that, or? Yes.
Is it live yet?
Yeah, it is. It's only on our page. We're gonna, now that I wanted to tell you guys first, we're gonna put it on the main page in the city, but you could go on there right now, and it's under community care program on the Joliet Fire Department page. But we talked earlier today about moving it out onto the main page now.
I'm sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to know, to mitigate risk for the city, and since you are an agent of the city, I'm curious, like, because of HIPAA, and you're gonna be discussing some very private medical issues, is there like one form that the person fills out to participate in the program? So,
Yeah, there is a one, and even on the online one, we have it just, so you know that it would be shared just by these.
Okay.
Now, it's only shared in our partners, but we'll all have a disclosure statement, and the individual who wants to, when we come and reach out to you on that door knock, then you will sign that you are okay with us. In our first meeting, if you were to bring someone, we don't give any of your personal information out. We just say, here's a risk, who can help? And then after that, then we'll disclose everything else, so.
thank you.
But yeah, it's all meant to be confidential until you agree to take the service.
Mayor,
Yeah, Joe?
can we add that in the water bill, maybe some sort of link or
Yeah, I
in
think it'd be
addition
great.
to put it on our website?
Yeah, anything we can do to publicize this, we want to do. I know we had a meeting a while back with some of the neighborhood leaders. Will we be doing that again pretty soon?
Yeah, now that it's right, we're gonna meet with the schools, because the schools see a lot of the risk in the school with the kids, the neighborhood organizations, so they all know how to get it, how it works, because I think, like, that's how we get to it before the problem starts. Because even through us, if we're already responding, the issue's already started. We want to get to it before the issue even starts.
Well, we really thank you for doing this. I know that it's been a lot of work for yourself and your team, but sitting in the first meeting with you all, this is going to be just great for our community. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Next presentation is City Center Partnership Update, presented by Priscilla Cordero, Executive Director.
Good evening. I appreciate everyone's time here tonight. I know we have the slammers on the agenda, so please bear with us presenting. So my name is Priscilla Cordero. I'm the Executive Director of the Joliet City Center Partnership. I wanted to come here to present to City Council because I know we have some new council members and want to make sure you're aware of everything we do. Historically, the City Center Partnership has been known as an events-driven organization, an organization that puts on light up the holidays parade and other events and brings people downtown, which is still part of what we do. But 2 years ago, I was hired in order to become an economic development organization. Great, this is handy. So the City Center Partnership was established in 1992 in order to revitalize the downtown area and help with maintaining the architectural and historical significance of many of our properties. A special service area was created later in order to support these efforts. Just so you all know, the CCP is a subsidiary of Will County Center for Economic Development. We co-office with Doug Pryor's staff at 203 North Ottawa, as well as the Workforce Investment Board of Will County. And this is the special service area here. So many may know that we work in the downtown, but we also work on Collins Street, Cass Street, and as you can see, well, this map's not the greatest, but it goes as far south as just a little bit further south of Milanos. It's a pretty large area just east of the river. This is our board. The picture does not include everyone on our board. That's who we were able to get that day, but actually this sign that we did last year was a project of the City Center Partnerships in partnership with the city and Old National Bank. I want to mention, she would hate this, but I want to mention Vicki Sanchez because you know, you all may know me, but not know that Vicki is our marketing and events manager and is the powerhouse behind our event. She's done a really great job. She worked for a municipality for nearly 11 years, had managed over 40 events a year before she came over to the City Center Partnership and has done a really great job for the SSA in downtown. Not only does she manage events, she promotes our businesses by managing our social media pages, our 2 monthly newsletters, both for businesses and one for residents and visitors with nearly 5,000 subscribers. And we're currently working on a marketing plan for businesses for the next 2 years as they weather major construction projects in the downtown and the special service area. So how do we do what we do? We do business retention and expansion. So we work with businesses to help them be successful and stay in the SSA. We work with developers to encourage redevelopment in the downtown. We work on attracting new businesses, Internode Greenery and Home, if you haven't been in there. I personally went into her business, I won't say in what town, and got her over, but she was the quality of business that we wanted downtown. And as a result of the relationship with her, we were also able to bring Prison City Vintage over, which is across the street from Chicago Street Pub. I met with Shane Kelly. He came to you all for a special use, was approved and opened up. And I could go on and on about those stories and the relationship that economic development is, right? So we attract new businesses to the SSA. We market the downtown as well as Collins and Cass Street. We promote the SSA through special events that attract residents and tourists and support our businesses. And actually, these two pictures are from Spirits with the Spirits, which was just on October 25th. It was a new event that we had where individuals went business to business supporting our business. We had events at many businesses, haunted ghost tours at the Rialto. It was really cool. We also oversee beautification in the SSA. We manage the planters throughout the downtown. Businesses will call me if trash needs to be picked up, whatever. We're kind of an advocate. I shouldn't say kind of, we are an advocate for businesses in the special service area. So Cesar Suarez and I work closely together as I do with, actually Krista is on our marketing committee. Obviously, I should have said Mayor first. Mayor is on our board. But I see our organization as an extension of the city's economic development team. So by 2028, these are some of our goals. Obviously 2026 sooner, but I said 2028 because there are some other things you'll see in here. First of all, we envision a thriving downtown with the city square completed, Chicago Street corridor done. You know, the goals next year to mitigate business loss for small business throughout the construction, increasing residential density in the downtown, and then partnering with the city to redevelop several prominent properties, including the U.S. Steel site, the Law Firm Building, Stadium Club, and the former Barrett's Hardware, just to name a few. There are other properties in the special service area, but those are some I wanted to point out. Just in this past year, we've approved $189,902. I should have mentioned this earlier, but we manage the building improvement grants, facade grants, beautification grants, a couple of other programs, and using SSA funds. Our businesses are able to, actually, if we go back to the Internode example, she applied for a grant, was able to redo the interior and obtained just over $10,000 from the City Center Partnership. And we don't have time to go into the weeds with how that program works, but happy to answer any questions. Just in the downtown in the past year, we've had over 15 business starts. That does not yet include Collins Street. I'm waiting to get those numbers. Events and seminars hosted. We also host seminars for our businesses in partnership with JJC's Entrepreneur and Business Center. That was something the CCP did not previously do, and I strongly believe in it. I've worked with businesses all my career, and the goal is to keep them here, right? The easiest way we can do as economic development is by making sure somebody like Jitter stays downtown. They've been here 19 years. I don't want them to go anywhere. So we do seminars for our businesses in order to help them and provide the resources and training that they need. And we estimate that attendance, and this is including Light Up the Holidays last year. I'm going to quote Chief Evans on this. He estimated that we had 15,000 people last year with the Light Up the Holidays Parade and Festival, and including our other events, over 20,000 people in the last year. Couple of projects real quick. El Güero CCP provided a $100,000 grant. This is at 188 East Jackson. I'm sure you're very familiar with this project. This is expected to be done in spring of 2024. Obviously, the city provided incentives as well, but this is a substantial improvement to the east side with a huge increase in EAV and revenue to all taxing bodies, even with the property tax abatement. We're looking at 10 times increase in tax revenue to all taxing bodies, even with the property tax abatement, and I talked to Kevin today, and I said, I don't want to say numbers because then it's going to come back and haunt me, but it's a huge improvement. First of all, job creation, all of that, which is needed on the east side, where there's a food desert, but also beneficial to the city, to the schools, and to the special service area. The former St. Carmelite Church, CCP provided a $100,000 grant, and I should note that neither of these projects the grants haven't been funded yet. The projects get done first, or a portion of the project, and then we reimburse to ensure that the work actually gets done. This is a rendering of what it'll look like after, and this is estimated to be done next late summer of 2024, possibly fall of 2024. But another property that will be a substantial improvement on Ottawa Street. Property had been vacant for over 20 years, and I believe prior to the previous owner had not been on the tax roll. So we can't do this alone, so we partner with lots of other organizations, of course. First and foremost, the City of Joliet, Will County Center for Economic Development, Will County, and I won't read that list, but everything we do in partnership with everybody on this list, and I'm probably forgetting some. But I thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you. Great presentation.
Great.
All good, thanks.
The next presentation is an Invest in Kids Act by Ryan Quigley, Director of Institutional Advancement, Joliet Catholic Academy.
Thank you, Mayor, and City Council members for inviting me here to speak tonight about the Invest in Kids Act and school choice. In 2017, the Invest in Kids Act was passed by the Illinois General Assembly. What it did was it provided $100 million to private schools, $75 million in tax credits in order for low-income and middle-income families to be able to access Catholic education, Jewish education, Muslim education, Lutheran education. There's a vast network of schools, of private schools that benefit from this program across the state. In 6 years, we have awarded over 106 scholarships at Joliet Catholic Academy. There's been 9,500 scholarships awarded just this past year in the state of Illinois, over 900 in the Diocese of Joliet. Unfortunately, this program has not been extended yet. We have been lobbying over the last 2 years to extend the program. When it passed in 2017, it was given a 5-year shelf life. It was extended in the spring of 2021 for one additional year, which was this school year, the 23-24 school year. We have been down in Springfield for the first veto session. We'll be down again this week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. There's a vast network besides the schools. I did provide a couple handouts for you. One was fact sheet on House Bill 4194, which is the compromise to extend the program. I also provided a letter of support that was in the Sun-Times on Sunday from 4 of the major labor union leaders, including Jim Sweeney. Locally, Doc Gregory from the Will and Grundy Trades Council will be providing a letter of support tomorrow, but he told me to state that tonight at the meeting as well. One of the things that we have seen created in Chicago with this program was carve-outs within the program that allow for building and trade schools. So right now, Chicago Hope Academy, which is a private Christian school in Chicago that was started by Bob Mazakowski from the movie Hardball fame, I think was played by Keanu Reeves. He's putting a program together at Chicago Hope. There was also a plan for a private trade school in Inglewood, and we would like to do the same at Joliet Catholic Academy and building out programs for our students. Personally, I do want to recognize we have several moms that are here tonight and their students, so if you could please stand up. We have families from St. Paul's, St. Ray's, St. Jude Joliet, Joliet Catholic Academy. One of the things that I say all the time, mothers know best when it comes to where they'd like to send their kids. My own personal story, I grew up in Joliet. I went to Forest Park. I went to Eisenhower. I benefited from our public education system here in Joliet. When my father passed away in 1993 from cancer, my mom moved us into St. Pat's, lived a block down, grew up in the St. Pat's neighborhood. I was able to benefit from the public education in school, private education, and then Joliet Catholic Academy, and that's really what we want. I've told our local legislators down in Springfield that we would have a problem if we rolled out a tax credit program and we didn't have a wait list. At Joliet Catholic, we have a wait list of over 110 students that are seeking these scholarships. One of the things that we talk about all the time is I'm not a big fan of school choice when you see the national news with it, because what it does is it's pitting schools against one another. I'm a fan of parent choice. I'm a fan of moms having a choice. I'm a fan of being a good partner in our community with our public schools and our private schools. And I believe that's what we've always done at Joliet Catholic Academy. You see it across the city with, you know, my wife working at Joliet Central, my sister-in-law being the softball coach at Joliet West, me coaching at Joliet Catholic. We have too many bonds that connect us that this doesn't need to be a thing that happens at the national level or even in Chicago with politics. So what I'm asking tonight of you all is to sign on to a resolution or to take a vote to support the program. I realize you don't have a vote with this, but you do carry maybe a big stick, if you'd say, and some influence that I can take to our local representatives when I go down to Springfield tomorrow and Wednesday to make sure that this important program stays alive. I do know, and it's been in the newspapers, we have reorganization going on with our parishes. Over 60% of the students that attend St. Jude Joliet are on Invest in Kids Act scholarships. Over 65% of those students are minority students. In the past 6 years at Joliet Catholic Academy, we've gone from 80% Caucasian students to 70% Caucasian students. And I don't care what somebody's race is. Catholicos means universal. I want anybody that wants to be able to come to Joliet Catholic to be able to afford it. If they don't qualify through the tax credit program, we have other financial aid that's available as well if they're middle income or higher income. But we're talking about families of four that make under $83,000 to receive a 50% scholarship, and families of four that make under $51,000 to be able to receive a 100% scholarship. This program is a no-brainer. It makes sense for families. It does not underfund public education. We've received over $350 million per year in an increase through the evidence-based funding formula, which was a compromise that was packaged as a part of the Invest in Kids Act 6 years. And we've also received over $2 billion in an increase in public education over the last 5 years. So the people that are advocating for these scholarships via the Invest in Kids Act, Empower Illinois, they are also advocating for public education as well. Carve-outs for special ed students. It's a great coalition, and it's something I hope we're raising more awareness about, and we would love your support of it. So I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have concerning the program.
Ryan, who actually handles the funding of this? Who do the students apply to qualify?
So the students will apply to what are called scholarship granting organizations. So the established one in Chicago was the Big Shoulders Fund, which was around, but they created a statewide company called Empower Illinois that operates in the 5 regions that are set up. So the $100 million is it's not equally distributed, it's distributed by population. So the largest is Cook County in Region 1. DuPage is in a separate county, a region with Lake County. We are in a Region 3 with Rockford schools and schools in Kankakee as well. And then there's a Region 4 and a Region 5.
So the veto session is going on now in Springfield. When do they actually vote on this?
So as of right now, House Bill 4194 is not being called to a vote. So one of the things that we're doing with these resolutions, we're urging Speaker Welch to call the bill. Our coalition believes that we do have the votes. I could be getting into a little bit of the mechanics of 60 votes and 71 votes and the difference between the program being extended by July 1st. We basically have to have a supermajority, 71 votes, to be able to have the program renew January 1st. If we can get 60 votes, it can renew July 1st, which would still give us time to be able to fundraise. The way the program works and the way it's funded is an individual donor can get a 75% tax credit on their Illinois state income taxes. So if somebody makes $100,000 and their Illinois state income tax liability is $4,950, they can donate $6,200 to this program, receive a 75% tax credit. It's still 25% philanthropy out of pocket, and they can quadruple their impact to the schools for these scholarships for low-income kids.
So if the bill is not called, there'll be no vote and it'll die as of
Exactly.
January 1st.
Yes, without a vote. So that's not what we want to see happen.
And so you're looking from us to make a recommendation or sign a letter that we are
Letter
in
of support for the extension of the Invest in Kids Act. 4194 is a compromise. It takes the program down from 75 million in tax credits to 50 million in tax credits. I frankly didn't like that because I think that we have a wait list, and there's more kids that could benefit from these scholarships, but there's got to be a compromise here somewhere. It will also take the tax credit down from 75% to 55%. One of the complaints was too many wealthy people were benefiting from the tax credit program for low-income kids. So one of the things that we are going to have within that, though, is a sliding scale. So any donation under $5,000 can receive a 100% tax credit, which frankly I like because I think more middle-income families can get the tax credit, more people that are sending their kids to school or maybe don't have a larger income tax liability in the state of Illinois could show their support for it. And there's precedent with that in other states, like in Arizona, a couple filing jointly can get 100% tax credit up to $2,100. So what they have is more money comes into their program by smaller donations, which I think will help, you know, against, with the compromise, some people that don't like tax credits for the rich.
Chris, so I realize this is a Monday night meeting, so is this something that we could take a vote on if there's a motion, or where are we at with this?
No, it's not on the agenda, so the council can't take any action, but there is nothing that precludes the council from issuing correspondence to our local legislators in support of this.
So I'd be, I guess can't really make a motion that I'm in support of it, and anything that you have or we have here that would be signed, Mayor, or however that would go.
Yeah, are you intending to send us something
Yeah,
electronically?
I can send you something. I can send you a template. I don't want to put words in your mouth with the program, but it can be something as simple as, you know, the Joliet City Council supports the extension of the Invest in Kids Act and House Bill 4194, and sign on, because I'll be going down Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and I'll take Doc Gregory's letter with the Will and Grundy Trade Councils, the Joliet City Council. You know, we have had productive discussions with our local elected officials. You know, I don't want to put anybody on blast publicly here, but I think we have the yes votes in Will County for it. So, and I can understand why they're not co-sponsoring the bill right now as it is. So, just from a standpoint, you know, the major opponents to the program. So,
Mayor, might it make a suggestion maybe for your consideration that you could do a straw poll or thumbs up with the council authorizing the mayor's office to send a letter of support?
Joe, did you have a comment?
Yeah, just, I support the program. It's a no-brainer. Great presentation. Councilman Mudger and I attended the meeting here that you had at Joliet Catholic. If you could hear the heartfelt stories from parents and the kids, it's a no-brainer, and I support it 100%. So.
yeah, I mean, it's moms of 9 at St. Jude that have 5 kids that they're not going to be able to stay at that school if this program goes away, and it's just amazing when you see some of the stories. It's the favorite part of my job when I make that phone call to a mom and tell her that their scholarship was funded through this program.
What do you feel will have the most impact as to how we could support it?
I think a letter of resolution or that I can, you know, give to our local
The
elected
council as a
officials.
whole or separately?
I think council as a whole. If it's a unified thing, I think that really says a lot.
Thank you.
I support the program.
Joe, obviously. Caesar?
Need some time to read through this here, but do we need a decision right now?
Oh, yeah, too. Larry, what do you think? I support it.
I support it.
Yep.
You're about 12 years too late for me, but I'll support it.
I'll support it.
And Councilman Guerrero, I'd be more than happy to follow up with you because I certainly understand, you know, if you need more explanation with it. So, on one unrelated note, I do want to say one thing. As a member of the 2011 Joliet Slammers championship team, I want to thank the council for keeping baseball in Joliet. And I'm very excited to hear that the Slammers are bringing in some fresh new owners, and it's been a great thing. I love taking my kids down to the games, and JCA loves sponsoring and being a partner with the Slammers. And it's baseball's America's favorite pastime, and we need to keep baseball in Joliet. So thank you for all you've done, because I know it hasn't been easy at times with COVID and everything. So thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Next is citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone that would like to speak on an agenda item this evening? Seeing none, we'll have the city manager review tomorrow's agenda items.
Great, thank you, Krista. Starting out your agenda, you have two proclamations tomorrow. One proclaiming March 22nd as Sierra Sandy Sanchez Day, and the second is a proclamation recognizing the St. Paul the Apostles Joliet fifth grade girls volleyball team for a recent conference championship. We have 5 council committee reports that we'll go through tomorrow. And then we'll move on to the consent agenda. You'll have pre-council meeting minutes from October 16th, council minutes from October 17th, and your special council meeting minutes from October 30th. Invoices to be paid, which are in your packet. And then we'll move into our council memo items on the consent agenda. The first is council memo 554. This is a contract for lead and asbestos removal at the Victory Center Gymnasium, 25th North Broadway. The award is being made to Universal Asbestos Removal as the low bidder, and the amount is $315,840. This is abatement that's required to be done before we can move forward with strategic demolition of that structure. Public Service Committee reviewed it November 6th and recommended it for your approval. If you have any questions, just let me know as we go. We do have a lot of items on here. I think most of them are relatively straightforward, but we do have a large agenda. The next council memo is 555. This is a change order, the first for the Caton Farm Road Water Main Project. Originally, this contract was a little over $2.8 million, and it was to PT Farrow. This change order is in the amount of $489,620. It's a result from basically a quantity error that was in the original design plans where there was additional asphalt that was needed. They provided that at the unit costs that were within their contract. Next council memo is 556-23. This is a change order, again, the first one for our 2023 pavement marking program to Superior Road Striping under one of our MFT projects. The total amount is $7,570.15, and we're also requesting a final invoice payment in the amount of $49,160.18. Again, this was reviewed by Public Service on October 16th and recommended for your approval. Council Memo 557-23. This is a change order for Olympic Boulevard improvements. This went to Public Service Committee today. This original contract related to the bridge construction over Rock Run Creek was for the amount of $10,788,000 and some dollars. This change order is a result of a design conflict that was discovered in the field between one of the bridge piers and an existing large sanitary sewer of the city. The change order calls for an amount of $887,079.44, which would effectively provide the funding to reroute the sewer and temporarily bypass it, so around the bridge pier. What we're going to recommend is that you would approve this change order, but I want to advise that we're currently working on a potential alternate. When we gave notice to the design engineer that we have this issue and filed a potential claim with them for it, they did review it, and they're working on another design change that we've made a lot of progress on in just a few days. If they're able to implement the design change, there will effectively not be an increase amount in the change order, and we should be able to come back to you with a net zero change for this. We don't know, however, if that alternative design is going to be able to be implemented. It's a question of the materials that are ordered for the steel beam construction, which is scheduled to start next week, and whether they can still do the modified plans within the time frame we need to proceed on the project. So we're hopeful that we can actually get this back to no net increase in the change order. This is essentially the worst case scenario. And so we would ask you to recommend that you make approval of that, and hopefully we can work it down back to having no net change. Any questions on that?
So somebody's insurance is looking at this. Obviously, there was a mistake made in the design, not done by the city.
Correct. We had a third-party outside engineer. We did give them, per the terms of our contracts, notice that we're required of the warranty failure, and they're looking at it because they have the right or opportunity to look at, are there design solutions that can be implemented? Again, the challenge we have here is the time frame that we have to still meet the construction expectations. So hopefully they can do it and we get the redesign with no change order needed for that significant amount. But worst case scenario, we would proceed with this bypass and relocation of the sewer so we can stay on track with the bridge construction schedule.
So Plan C would be we write the check for 887 and we go after the design engineers,
Bond.
insurance, errors
Yes.
and omissions?
Yes, and we've done the steps necessary to
So
start
just
that
keep us
process.
on track.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Next council memo is 558-23. This is change order number 2 for the 2023 sidewalk curb replacement program, contract A to Davis Construction. The amount is $14,316, reviewed by Public Service and recommended at their October 16th meeting. This was for doing additional work that was the removal and replacement of a part of the driveway at Fire Station number 6. Next item is Council Memo 559-23, change order number 4 for sidewalk vault improvements. Contract was 16 West Van Buren and 79 North Chicago Street. To Lindblad, they were the only bidder on this project from the beginning. The change order amounts $113,718.50. As you may recall, we've done 3 other change orders relative to this contract, which was to add additional vaults. All these vault construction work are being done in preparation for the Chicago Street reconstruction project. Again, this went to Public Service Committee today. This is change order number 4. Again, it adds additional structures at 56, 58, 68, and then North Chicago, and does some of the alley between the 2 Rialto Square building and the Rialto Square Theater. Any
So is
questions?
this additional work or just something they didn't realize they were gonna get into once they got into?
It's a little bit of both. Some of them are structural issues that were found in the vaults once the vaults were opened that needed to be added on. And the rest is just adding on additional vaults while we have season and time to get it done.
So they're actually kind of moving ahead of schedule on some of this.
They are. We're taking advantage of, I guess, the timing as they proceed and trying to get ahead of it before we start the road project next year.
Thank you.
Next item is Council Memo 561-23. This is the council chamber audio video upgrades. We're going to ask you table this to the 21st. They have completed the reevaluation of the scope of work with JCTV, and our external consultants have reviewed that. Given the changes from what had previously been presented to you, we'd like to take this back to the CTIS committee first for their review. So CTIS will review it on November 14th, and then they'll make recommendation, and it'll be on your November 21st agenda for action. Next item is Council Memo 562-23. This is the approval of the sale of greater than 50% of the Joliet Community Baseball and Entertainment LLC. I know it went to Stadium Committee for review tonight, and we have members of the selling and buying sides of the deal are here tonight if you have any questions for them.
Joe?
Nick, would you like to introduce your team? Maybe talk a little bit about what transpired in the meeting?
I was just making you wait. It makes me wonder about these guys, but I won't go there. So, thank you for giving us some time. I'm here first off to confirm that the rumors are true. We have an agreement in principle with a group led by Mr. Mike Veck, wherever the heck he is, to sell 75% of our ball club. I think this is most excited I've been since I sat in front of this room 11 years ago and first bought into the team. Because this is really an opportunity for the Slammers to go to another level in terms of what we've been able to do. We're super proud of the things we've done over the last 11 years.
which obviously has involved an awful lot of support by this council and by many of the individuals in this room, so thank you for that. There's things we've done really well that we're very proud of, and there's places we need to improve, particularly in terms of things like marketing and maybe making our games even a little bit more fun. And so when we started discussions with Mike and his team over 2 years ago, we thought this is actually, you know, a match made in heaven. So I'm going to continue as part of this group. So I'm an old owner, but I'm actually going to be a new owner. Heather is going to stay in her role, leading the effort with Night Train, who will introduce himself in a minute. And you know, we're here to just, you know, prepare for hopefully an affirmative vote to let these guys into town. So without further ado, Mike, you want to talk a little bit about whatever you want?
Mayor and the council, thank you very much. For 2 years, I have lusted after this club. It's time, at my age, I'm 72, and I wanted to come home. Ever since I blew up those disco records, I haven't really been welcome. And so I thought I could come and apologize, make a mass apology. Bill Murray and I have been partners for 32 years in numerous clubs. And my son Night Train and I have been affiliated and associated for 37 years.
Oh,
Right? Thank you. I got that right. And I've always wanted to, he's worked 7.5 years for the White Sox. He's done 1,000 minor league games, and I wanted to end my career being able to work with and for my son. It would be an honor. And so we talked to Nick, and Bill and I will be the lead investors. We have a really interesting kind of eclectic group that we've put together, but we just want to be here. That's the long and the short of it. And we will do anything that we can. We wanted Nick to stay in. It was very important to me personally that he stay in, because it'll be a great deal of continuity, which is something that I think will benefit all of us, the community. Our approach is pretty simple. We try to make people laugh. We take care of your kids. And the only people we throw out of the ballpark are people who complain about the kids. You know, a ballpark's supposed to be for kids. And that's the place where we can kind of forget all the serious things that we have to deal with. So I hope that you will approve us affirmatively. I'd like to thank whoever leaked the fact that Bill Murray was part of the group, because it's gotten us some coverage. And I'd like to introduce for the second time to the world my son, Night Train, who's still mad at me for giving him that great name.
Thank you, council. Thank you, mayor. A bit surreal, but he's right. We did just want to be here, and this conversation has been going on for quite some time. And as they alluded to, with 2 years, and to be able to speak in front of you today and hear it come to fruition with hopes it goes through, we're lucky. We're very lucky, and we're very lucky to do it in a place like Joliet. So thank you so much. You all know someone named Night Train now. Be ready for that. Good, bad, indifferent. There's going to be a lot of interesting questions, so bear with me. Thanks, Dad. But I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to bringing some fun that was already with Nick and the current group, and working with them and working with Heather. I'm really looking forward to working with Heather as well. Not sure who knows her here, or if you all do, but she's been a good friend of mine for quite some time, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So thank you all so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
Oh, I just want to welcome you again.
Yeah.
It was a great meeting, and I look forward to all the fun things to come.
Thank you.
I have a question, Mayor.
Go ahead, Larry.
This is more stating the obvious. You're assuming the current lease agreement, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Wanted to get that out in the record. So
With
everybody-
no changes.
With no changes?
I was asked it. I didn't know we had the power to just magically change it, so we'll keep it as it is, Larry.
Good. Thank you. And welcome.
Yeah, Nick, thanks for all you've done for the city for so many years, and the team you've assembled is great. Heather does a great job. And to have your human capital still with us is gonna make this even smoother as the transition goes, but it's gonna be fun with some fun stuff gonna happen, I know that. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Just a quick question, Mayor. Is your whole team settled, or are you thinking about hiring anything? Because I'll tell you right now, I would love to see John Wilson come back, or not John Wilson,
Yes.
it is John Wilson? Okay, there's two people in my mind right now, but, he was a fabulous person, he a real get-go in the community, and I feel that he was let go, and he should not have been. I mean, he was always attentive, he knew everybody, he was there all the time. You asked for anything, he was right there with it, and I don't know what happened, but I would like to see him come back.
Thank you, Jan. We haven't actually gone through personnel planning yet.
So, I would love to see that, because I didn't go to any ball games this year, because he wasn't there. So, just so you know, that's me.
We love loyalty.
But welcome. I was loyal.
This is good.
But welcome, and I'm very excited about the new season. But he's really a good guy, and he would do you well, and that's my opinion.
Thank you.
Okay.
All set. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
All right, Mayor and Council, continuing on with the agenda, next sections under licenses and permit applications. You have two liquor license applications, memos 564 and 565. And I know both the applicant groups are here, and I'll have Deputy Liquor Commissioner Kevin Kelly address you with regard to each of those memos.
Good evening. First item, 564-23, is an application for issuance of a Class D liquor license at 3231 Norman Avenue, which is at Best Western Plus. The Class D license authorizes the service of wine and beer only for consumption on the premises. This location previously had a liquor license, but now has a new owner and who has 34 years experience in the sale of alcohol. This is a hotel where and the owner wishes to sell beer and wine to guests of the hotel to bring back to their rooms. The Liquor Commission is recommending approval of this license. Next is item 565-23. This is a resolution to deny the application of the issuance of a Class C liquor license at 412 South Chicago Street through 422 South Chicago Street. The Class C license authorizes the service of alcoholic beverages for consumption off of the premises. In the past 24 months, there have been 807 service calls to this area, including several violent crimes. In addition, a large number of residents have come forward to voice their strong opposition to a new liquor store in their community, in their neighborhood. The applicants are present if anyone has any questions. As of now, though, the Liquor Commission is recommending the denial of this license.
Any questions for Kevin on anything? Thank you, Kevin.
All right, next section of the agenda is public hearings. We have a public hearing for a resolution approving a First Amendment to the All-In Campus LLC annexation agreement. This is Cadence Premier Logistics. Specifically, this is the property at the southwest quadrant of Route 53 and what will be the extension of Emerald Drive. All-In Campus has come to the city here asking that because of the delay in the extension of Emerald Drive, which has been caused by a number of variables, but predominantly a bunch of utility relocates that had to be done, which have now finally just got accomplished, that Emerald Drive project was not able to be started this year. Consequently, All-In Campus has not been able to implement or start their development plans. So what this amendment asks of you for approval is essentially to allow them to start using what was Lot 1 of their preliminary plan. It was planned to be a truck marshaling center where they'll have trailers and tractors stored. It's approximately 26 acres. And they will access that property or that portion of the property from the Marcella Drive cul-de-sac, which extends from Laraway Drive up to the north and touches their property. It would be limited. The proposal at this point is essentially a one-year approval as this temporary improvement. So in order to get Emerald Drive actually completed, which is ready to go, again, once now the weather permits us to start that construction process. So this would allow Cadence to start using the property for at least this limited use. We'll get the road finished next year, the signal's completed, and then they'll be able to connect this to Emerald Drive instead of using Marcella in this temporary condition. So that's the gist of the details that are in here. Enables them to start using the property, but we limit it, and ultimately it will go back to the permanent condition that's supposed to use Emerald Drive.
Question? Sure. So Rodney, this piece of property was always going to be used for this part of.
That's correct.
Just how they're going to get to it.
Yes, their existing annexation agreement calls for this use on this piece of property. That's what they're entitled to.
There's no change in any of that.
And the applicant and their attorney is here tonight if you have any questions for them as well.
Greg, you've been in front of this for a while. Is this the one that PT Farrell's going to start the first job in the spring for them?
That's, excuse me, that's correct. This has been held up by numerous utility delays, and we're scheduled to be right out of the gate in the spring. We've had conversation with PT Farrell, and they've indicated this would be their first job next year.
So I know Comcast, they finished up their part of the project?
They did, and the ComEd relocated some facilities as well. I think there's potentially one street light on the east side of the road, but we can easily work around that, yeah.
So you don't think 12 months is an issue?
Not if, again, knock on wood, barring any unforeseen circumstances, I don't think it's an issue. No.
The way the amendments drafted, Mayor, is they'll have the one-year time frame. If for some reason there is any minor issue at the end of that needs to be resolved, they could ask at your discretion of the council for an extension. But again, with a full construction year, we ought to be able to see that project complete.
Mayor?
Yeah. Go ahead,
To
Larry.
simplify, essentially what's going on there is Cadence, and it's great, that means their business is booming, they're expanding, and by no fault of theirs, they've not been able to permanently finish what they had platted from the beginning. And so they want a temporary 12 months, again, unless somebody else causes a further delay, to meet their current needs until they get to where they can do their permanent.
That's correct.
But the delay had nothing to do with Cadence as a company, it was outside forces.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Rodney, I guess you have one more thing. So all other properties and easements and movement on the west side of 53 have been accomplished? Then, after that light goes in, wasn't there something with the medical facility?
As far as that shared driveway that goes into it, yes, that still is what has to be completed with this Emerald Drive construction. Yes.
But all agreements are set.
I'd have to check. That predated my involvement, so Greg, do you know?
Yes, I believe they are, yeah.
He was giving us a head nod, I figured I'd say, yeah.
I can't see through the back of my head, so I couldn't see the head nod.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that? All right, moving on, then, next section of our agenda is ordinances, resolutions. First is Council Memo 569-23. This is an ordinance approving an amendment to our intergovernmental cooperative planning and boundary agreement with the Village of Plainfield. That is due to expire January 1st, 2024. This calls for a 20-year extension of that agreement. The Village Board of Plainfield held a public hearing on it September 18th, and the Village Board in Plainfield's reviewing it tonight as well. Staff's recommending that you approve that extension. Keeps the boundary line essentially in the same place.
You say essentially, it keeps it in the same place.
Yeah, no, there was one parcel called the Leopold property, which was on the Plainfield side of the line, I believe, originally, but it was actually annexed to Joliet in 1993, so we're correcting that. But otherwise, the line is exactly the same.
We're keeping it in Joliet and.
Correct.
Got it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next council memo is 570-23. This is an ordinance for the levy and assessment of taxes for fiscal year '23. This is for the downtown Joliet City Center Special Service Area. The total levy amount is $630,000. Next council memo is 571-23. This is an ordinance authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement for the Tri-County Auto Theft Task Force. This is the task force with a number of jurisdictions that we partner with, funded through a grant from the Illinois Secretary of State. I know it comes before you every year for the grant renewal. Two items are being addressed in this new agreement. Historically, the way the agreement was structured, only a City of Joliet sergeant was selected as the current director of the organization. This would enable one of the other agencies to appoint someone as a director, but additionally says that a Joliet representative has to serve as either the director or deputy director. The second item that this agreement addresses relates to the spending. All the funds for this grant do come through the City of Joliet, but historically the task force has made its own spending decisions. Because of our $25,000 spending limit that otherwise requires City Council approval, this will require that the task force adopt their own spending policy. So those are the two provisions that are addressed in this. And the Public Safety Committee will be reviewing this at their meeting tomorrow. Council Memo 572-23, this is an ordinance for the levy and assessment of taxes for fiscal year 2023. This is for Special Service Area number 7, which is the Park Hill subdivision. The total levy amount is $8,000, and this is an annual special service levy that provides funds for the maintenance and management of the stormwater detention pond in that subdivision. Council Memo 573-23, ordinance abating the taxes heretofore levied for the year 2023. This relates to taxes, debt service payments for 3 series of general obligation bonds, and us needing to abate those taxes so they're not included in the levy. Those bonds are all funded by a different source of funds. Those relate to the Vehicle Replacement Fund, the Library Expansion Fund, and then essentially the Rock Run General Obligation Bonds. Council Memo 574-23 is a series of ordinances related to the Rock Run Collection, which is the new branding name for Cullinan's project. You'll have a resolution for the PUD, an ordinance approving the preliminary PUD, an ordinance approving the final PUD, and a resolution to approve an amendment to the development agreement. Essentially, this is Cullinan asking you to advance the planned unit development related documents for their project. This is the land that we've already platted the industrial subdivision, the 2 lots that the buildings are on. We have already platted the multifamily portion and the casino portion. Essentially represented in this is the balance of the property. The plan is what they've showed you in the past. It's just the next iteration of the plan drawings, as well as the adoption of a set of PUD design guidelines. When you had first approved this at council, they gave you essentially concept plans. So this is taking that concept to the next level of approval. The staff then and Cullinan as a developer will rely on these drawings as they bring actual users forward and do final site development plans. They'll have to follow the rules that are placed in this PUD for what those buildings look like architecturally, what the site amenities and details are. This provides the framework for all of those planning and design decisions. Again, the applicants are here tonight from Cullinan if you have any questions. This did go to Plan Commission. There was no one that appeared on either side of it from the public, and it was recommended 7-0 for your approval.
Quick question. So they are actually going to show us the designs, not the concepts, tomorrow?
So they have a set of design guidelines. There's no designs for specific individual users yet. These are just established in the guidelines so that when they do have an individual user that says, I would like to buy or lease that property from you, then when they complete the final site plan for that, these are the rules they're going to follow. Those final plans still have to be reviewed by city staff.
Right, that's what I want to see, the final plan.
Any other questions?
The next ordinance is Council Memo 575-23, creating Chapter 21, Article 1, Section 21-2.1 of the City Code, creating a prohibition on fighting. I think we talked about this at a previous council meeting in concept. Chris probably explains it a lot better than I do in terms of the legal background on why this is value, but we modeled this after an ordinance that we use at the Plainfield School District. It essentially gives the police officer witnessing a fight the ability to make that citation without there having to be either a witness or someone that, on the other side of the fist, so to speak, to come forward. So if they witness the fight, they can issue the citation.
We discussed it at land use.
That's correct. Chris, did you want to add anything to that?
If there are any questions, I can certainly explain everything. But this is a more efficient tool for our school resource officers to be able to use in combating violence in the schools. It was requested by them. And we copied it from Plainfield, and they're using it successfully there.
Excuse me, Mayor, may I ask a question? So, speaking of land use, we did have somebody, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was that brought up the idea of possibly bringing community service into this framework. You're almost laughing, I don't know why, but because, if we're giving them $100 fine, or I don't know what the fines are exactly, what we would put forth, but, and they can't afford to pay it, we could have them do community service. But what's your thoughts on that?
That was Todd Greenberg that brought that up at the city council meeting when the committee report was given. The deal with that is that's an option, but we don't have the infrastructure to support that kind of a program. If someone came in for an administrative adjudication, which this ticket would be, it would be a city ticket. The default fine is $150. If the hearing officer decided to impose community service to somebody, which he legally can do, we don't have anyone to monitor that. We don't have anyone to check on that. And again, I think it's a very good idea. In fact, I did do it once at the prison with somebody, but I was there to monitor that. We would need to implement a program, and that's something we should look at moving forward, but we're not there yet.
Well, they're not bad kids. We do that for Habitat for Humanity. We have kids do community service when they have some kind of little troubles like this, and they do a good job of reporting that and monitoring it. So I think it's an idea.
It's a good idea.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you.
One question, Mayor. Chris, has anybody reached out to any of the school districts? Because they do have the apparatus for community service, not directly related to this particular infraction, but overall. Mm-hmm. Have we looked into them monitoring
Now, I have not spoken to anybody at any school district, and you bring up an important point. When you mention that, remember the enforcement matrix has a lot of steps built into it, and even before the police would get involved in any school matter, the school has the option to handle that internally through school discipline, through a community service program, through counseling, and escalation is when the police would get involved. And even then, the police have options. They can do an informal adjustment. They can do their own counseling or their own creative solutions, and then a citation is another escalation, and we can keep escalating into the juvenile justice system. And so this just gives the officers another tool in their toolbox to solve problems at the school.
Great, thank you. The next item is Council Memo 576-23. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 19, Article 4, Section 19-266, subjecting a vehicle to impoundment. We've talked about this component in the past, would give the police department the authority to impound an uninsured motor vehicle. Any questions? Council Memo 577-23 is next, and that is the budget amendment that went along with the council audio-video upgrade. So again, we'll ask you to table that to November 21st. Next item is Council Memo 578-23, an ordinance amending First Amendment to Development Agreement for the Kleins Building, 179 North Chicago, and 2 through 24 West Cass Street. This is Mr. Bay's redevelopment project. Mr. Bay's had a TIF redevelopment agreement for that building. We last year did a 12-year extension of that TIF district. That particular redevelopment agreement didn't have an automatic extension built into it to go along with the TIF extension, so he has petitioned to have a 12-year extension. We analyzed that based on the financial need, and it was determined that he was eligible for a 90% TIF reimbursement for the next 12 years, and that's what's being recommended to you. This was reviewed and recommended by the Economic Development Committee. Mr. Bays is here if you have any questions.
Any questions? All good.
Next item is Council Memo 579-23. This is an ordinance establishing a business interruption program in collaboration with the City Center Partnership. This business interruption assistance program is designed to provide financial relief to businesses who've been negatively impacted or suffered revenue losses from disruption by construction projects happening in the downtown area. So as we again talk about what starts next year with the reconstruction of Chicago Street and knowing that's going to have a negative impact, we're developing this program to be proactive. It is calling for the creation of a $100,000 balance to start with. $50,000 will come from the special service area and $50,000 from the downtown TIFs. It also calls for there to be landlord participation in the program to help. The program would provide for up to 3 months of rent offset up to $5,000. Each of the applicants will be required to provide proof of their financial loss. And again, similar to programs we ran during pandemic and other places, just a way of trying to smooth over those difficult times when we know that construction activity is negatively impacting our downtown restaurants and retail businesses. Again, city staff is here today to talk more in detail if you have questions about it. It went to Economic Development Committee and was recommended for your approval.
Any questions? Thank you.
Next is Council Memo 580-23, ordinance authorizing the execution of an employment agreement with Helen Elizabeth Beatty. Next item is Council Memo 582-23. This is a supplemental resolution approving MFT funds for the 2023 pavement marking program. As we discussed earlier, we had Council Memo 556. That was the $7,570.15 that we're asking you to approve for additional pavement marking. This is just a companion resolution that the state requires us. You have to adopt it by resolution since you're spending MFT dollars. The next item is Council Memo 583-23. This is a resolution approving a grant to the Will County Metropolitan Exposition and Auditorium Authority, i.e. the Rialto Square Theater. This has been reviewed at Finance Committee. The request is for $475,000 in 2024 funds and $100,000 for 2023 funds. There was a discussion last year about what the actual amount was that was budgeted to this Rialto line, and there was some discrepancy in belief that the original request was for $475,000. The major difference this year, and we've talked about this a bit during our draft or preliminary budget review process, while this has been a budgeted line in the past, This year, we're treating it as a grant. And so this is the specific authorization to issue that grant. And because it's issued as a grant, we're able to put restrictions on it. So this is limiting the use of these funds for capital improvements only. And as you know, the theater's going through a number of those, currently working on their roofs and the HVAC replacement. So every one of these grant dollars will be put to use for those capital projects.
Any questions? Thank you.
The next item is Council Memo 584-23. This is a resolution terminating a lease agreement with the Will County Historical Society for lots at 575 East Jackson Street. That's the relocation of the Cassaday House that was moved to make way for the new Thornton's gas station at the corner of Collins and Jackson's. We originally, after relocating that historic building, entered into a lease with the Will County Historical Society with the intent that they would open a museum. And at this point, they've not successfully done that at the site. In the past year, the city and the Historical Society were approached by Luther Johnson. He currently owns and operates a not-for-profit called History on Wheels. And he has a traveling museum that conducts educational programming about African-American contributions to military campaigns throughout American history. So he would like to enter into a lease with us to take over that property and do a permanent installation of his exhibit there. So this first item, Council Memo 584, is terminating the lease with the Will County Historical Society. The next Council Memo 585 is authorizing the execution of the lease with Mr. Johnson.
Rod, I have a question. How's he gonna fund the ongoing cost to keep that museum heated and lighted?
So I have I know Chris has had a lot of involvement with this, or Jane Bernhardt's here tonight who's worked a bit on it too. So Jane, maybe you have more, I think, detailed knowledge of Mr. Johnson's background and plans, if you could address that.
So it's our understanding that he has some funds reserved right now to do the initial stabilization work, but then ongoing, he seeks to fundraise. And what he keeps telling Chris and I and others, he can't fundraise until he has the actual approval to go forward. So he's confident he'll be able to get donations more successfully than the last group did.
So he's gonna fund the improvements, and then he's gotta fundraise to keep that going.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions?
I mean, I think I am a little concerned on what the future of that site holds with the amount of, do we have a scope or an idea of what it's gonna cost to maintain and or to support it in the, once he stabilizes and everything? Does he have any of those numbers by chance?
He had numbers that he presented a while ago on initial stabilization costs, but I have not reviewed costs to sustain the museum going forward. But his big initial push was to stabilize, and then he plans to move in as soon as possible.
Does he have a number of what it's gonna cost to stabilize?
I don't have that right now, but we can try to get that for you tomorrow.
Yeah, I think if we could find out what that number is gonna be to stabilize, and then, and he has that already on hand to do, would be good to know.
Yeah, that, and we'd like to know what his annual budget's gonna be to run it, so that we can be assured it's gonna continue. Anybody else have anything? Thank you.
Okay.
Very good. Next item is, as I said, 585. That's the new lease with Mr. Johnson. 586-23 is a resolution authorizing execution of a lease agreement at Union Station with JBM Golf Properties, AKA Mistwood Golf Club. They are a tenant and operator of the Grand Ballroom. They've been a very good tenant and a very good operator of that space. Their lease expired in 2023, and we've been negotiating the extension. The draft lease being presented essentially holds the next 2 years at the same terms as we had previously had with them, essentially because they have bookings that go at least 1.5 years in advance that they've already relied on expectation of those rates. then offers another 2-year extension after that, in which case we have built in a rent increase for them. So that's agreed to in this draft lease, and at that point, we have the opportunity as well, if they're not interested, to reconsider and open it up for RFP or look for other operators. But we've been very pleased with how they've operated it. Again, this was reviewed by Economic Development Committee and recommended for your approval.
Any questions? Thank you.
Next memo is 587-23. This is a resolution approving and authorizing the extension of a pre-development loan agreement with Riverwalk Homes LLC, not to exceed $2 million for a period of 24 months at a 6% rate. We had approved this $2 million pre-development loan back in 2019. It came to term. This loan is in place essentially to provide the pre-development funding mechanism for the pre-development dollars to advance the Riverwalk redevelopment and reduction project. As we know from our previous meetings on this, our ability to move that project forward was dependent on finding financing. It took a little bit longer to do that, so we're about 2 years behind on this process. So this is just renewing the extension of the pre-development loan, so there is a place to draw on the funds for some of the initial startup costs in the redevelopment process.
Any questions? I have a question. So when this draw is taken, who approves we're 50-50 partners right now on this, right?
Yes.
Do we have any say in the application to draw money? And if we do, who's gonna be in charge of that?
Under our management agreement with Holston, they have the authority to seek out financing and obtain it. So if part of obtaining financing is advancing application costs, they have the authority to do that.
Well, to the tune of $2 million for an application. I think the LIHTC funding is, what, $150,000 application?
That's correct, yes.
So beyond that, do we have any say in any of the money that's drawn out of this $2 million?
Good evening, Mayor and council people. May I answer that? We submitted a draw, and the draw's reviewed and signed off by the city, so we can't just tap into it.
Who in the city is gonna be, the city manager, I guess would be? Okay. That was my only question. Anybody else got any questions? All right, thank you.
Council Memo 588-23 is resolution authorizing execution of a cost-sharing agreement with CenterPoint for PACE Bus Route 511. We've been running this route, PACE has, since 2011. It brings employees from downtown Joliet at the PACE transportation point out to the CenterPoint Intermodal Center. It now has 2 outbound and inbound buses on that route. It used to only be 1. The total amount of the service for 2024 is $49,196.85. We split that equally between CenterPoint and the city. That's an increase from the amount we've paid the past 2 years, which was $45,925.74. Keep in mind, PACE has relocated their bus storage facility from downtown to their new Plainfield Center. There's no additional increases for the additional travel time from Plainfield to Joliet Gateway Center. Economic Development Committee reviewed this, and it's recommended for your approval.
Yeah, Joe.
Ron, do we know how many, or can you check with Pace, how many people, I know it's probably very important to take our residents down there for work. Do we know how many people utilize the buses?
Beth Gonzalez from PACE is here tonight. Beth, if I could ask you to come up, and if she doesn't have the answers at her fingers, I know she can get them.
Thank you. That is a good question. I do not have the ridership numbers. I will work on getting those for you for tomorrow. It is a 1 round trip run in the morning and another round trip in the afternoon. the ridership isn't as strong as your 501 bus that goes to Joliet Junior College, but it does get workers down to some of those places like the Home Depot, the Mars, the CTDI in that area. But I'll see if I can get your ridership numbers for the meeting tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that concludes all the action items you'll have on the agenda for tomorrow, and then we'll close, of course, with comments from myself, public comments, and then mayor and council comments.
Next is public comments. Is there anyone that would like to speak under public comments this evening?
Is this regarding also the agenda items or only non-agenda items?
You can come up.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members, city officials, staff, and all attendees. My name is Kamlesh Patel. I'm president of KP Real Estate Inc. and also a professional engineer in the state of Illinois for the last 28 years. I also the owner of 400 through 500 South Chicago Street property. I personally believe and want the decision makers to know that I have contributed to the economic development in that neighborhood. I was the one who brought Dunkin' Donuts. I was the one who was instrumental in bringing the gas station across the kitty corner of this property. I have also brought other businesses in the same location. All these businesses were helping the community to provide the service, and this is the one. Excuse me for a second. Okay, I have been there for 18 years, ever since I owned the building, and I personally believe in ethical practice to comply with all applicable laws, rules, regulations, and I have been very vigilant and careful in selecting tenants and types of businesses in my shopping center that can help community and provide the service and employment. I have seen the population transform over 18 years in my personal observation and experience. Crime can happen anywhere without any kind of warning in good or bad neighborhood, with or without liquor store. Coming to the neighborhood, I think that the incidences of crimes have gone down and the neighborhood has become safer than ever before. My wife and I owned and operated our own businesses in the past without having any problems. We have known and worked with community, local pastors and local leaders. I want to say that the number of calls to JPD is not the only metric to evaluate the stability in the neighborhood, because all calls are not similar and related to crime. I say most are not. I would assure you that the proposed liquor store owner is a sound business person and has had a successful history of running dozens of businesses, including liquor, convenience stores, and gas stations in Chicagoland for nearly 25 years. Before approving, I have personally visited many of his current businesses, and I was fully satisfied, and therefore I approved him for this business in my shopping center. He has presented a plan to spend significant amount of capital and ensure full security provision for the protection of employees and customers alike, and maintain order and peace in community. He is also open to an idea having the professional security staff if needed. I want the mayor to be supportive of business activities and doing the positive things to the community, rather than appealing to council members to vote against it, as reported in Joliet Patch News. I would urge the decision makers to hear me again and again until you are fully satisfied with your inquiries and concerns in a public or private meeting, and I'll do that to the fullest satisfaction before you make the final decision. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
If no question, I go back.
Any questions?
Hello everyone, Mr. Mayor and council member.
I'm owner of the gas stations, convenience store, restaurants, and also liquor store. I've been operating almost since last 25 years. I have station in Naperville, I have station in Bolingbrook, I have station in Itasca, Bensonville, Round Lake Beach, Mundline, everywhere. So the way I operate, my operator, if there is a gas station, there is a C operator, we call C operator. He knows how to handle the gas things. Second thing, in the liquor, there is a BASET. All employees should be passed the BASET. If they passed it, I hire them. On the top of there, I have like 4 members on the top of that. Every day they go like 6 store. They watch how they take care of the customer, how they take care of the vendors and everything like that. And I do very neat and clean business. If the committee member want to see the videos of all my store, is a beautiful, modern, it's just not like the old kind of small liquor store and they have here and there. My is always with the architect, with the plan, with the good electrician people, with the good air conditioned people. Is a nice and a beautiful, not even if example, I give you an example, even my counter is also a granite. I'm not a cheap guy to spend money. I'm gonna spend a lot of money on that. Maybe almost like $400,000-500,000 inside the building. And before I was thinking I want to make the road payments and everything. Also I want to make like a nice landscaping. I already planned a lot of things on that, but if you guys support us, let's go not 100% liquor. This is a 6,000 square feet area. Maybe I can do 40% liquor and a 60% grocery. Every year, anybody can come and check whether I do more than 40%. You can take it out my license, no problem. But I promise I want to see there was a big grocery store coming over there. That's why I didn't suggest in the beginning that I want to put the grocery. But since I know he got a grocery, there is no grocery store around there. So maybe I can put like meat, like produce item, milk, bread, butter. 60% goes on that, 40% goes on this side. If you guys happy to willing take any decision, maybe tomorrow is welcome. I'm always welcome for here. I was also looking for one more project in Route 59 and Theodore Street. There is a Mark Coing. Okay, I already submit my contract with him, some due diligence. I want to build the gas station on that side, almost like $7 million. The land itself cost only $3 million. So I'm working on it too, but once by one, I like Joliet. I live in the Holland Park since almost 25 years, and I do very neat and clean business, that's I promise. Anybody want to ask?
Any questions?
Well, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jan.
Do you realize there's 807 calls for service in that area, that strip mall area?
I didn't understand what you.
Including several violent crimes that have happened over there.
I never knew about nothing, but if there is some kind of situation we need to hire the security, I have one bad experience in a Sauk village. When I bought liquor store over there in a Sauk village, initially it was too much trouble. Since I hired the security 6 months, then after 3 days, then after 2 days, now that store is running right now, is so beautiful. No problem, no violation. And again, I'm telling you that as per my experience in the business, okay, there is a most phone call coming from the retail business is a gas station only. And that calls is only the problem between understanding of the cashier and a customer, credit processing time. Sometimes in the gas station, every week or 2 weeks, sometimes we have to call the police because the customer doesn't want to understand the credit card processing. Once you put the credit card company will hold your money, not the employees, not the gas station owner. So they want money there right now. So until the police do not come, they do not want to understand. When the police come, they explain them, they understand and go. But as I have the liquor store, I think so 1 or 2 times I call the police for the liquor store. Beside, I never call it.
All right, thank you.
Can I speak, ma'am?
It's up to the
Okay,
mayor.
Yeah, can I
Sure, go
speak, sir? Okay. Okay, 807 calls that you are referring to, I guess, did you compare that, how many that they are related to, like, say, domestic issues or pretty trivial matters as compared to
What
like?
I have here in front of me is what the liquor commissioner gave me that did the inspection. And law enforcement problems in that area have been 807 calls for service, including several violent crimes. I'm
Okay,
going
then-
by the report that the inspector gave me.
Okay, I would also suggest that, if you are so concerned and if you are seeing that, mounting numbers of these crimes, I mean, what city and council members have addressed, what they have done. That's what also I would like to know, that rather than addressing, you are using those numbers as a tool, and rather than making like per year number, you are making this like twice, why do you like make this 2 years data, presenting in like big number? Did you compare these numbers also with other neighborhoods in Joliet? Even during COVID, like whole Chicago city downtown was also being robbed everywhere. If you see the numbers, if you kind of, go back 2 years, the numbers will be astronomical.
Mayor, can I say something?
Sure.
This is my district, and I just want to let you know that we got a lot of calls from residents, the neighborhood councils, and everyone in the area. There was a 16-year-old kid that was savagely gunned down within walking distance of there. There's a lot of things that area needs, and a liquor store is not one of them.
Okay, without liquor store, if it happened, then how do you see that, that liquor store will contribute if other liquor stores are present in city of Joliet? How do you think that it relates to that, only that, liquor is like pretty common and socially acceptable custom in the United States, correct? So if it's commonly consumed, if it's like, you find those stores every block, I mean, how do you relate and how do you sort this data or numbers that they were related to liquor or it is more likely to happen due to liquor?
Alcohol exacerbates violence. That's a fact. But this isn't rhetorical or a back and forth. I just wanted to make the comment so that you knew that I have gotten a lot of calls on this and not one of them are positive. And this is not a back and forth, so I'm just making the statement so you know. It was way beyond the mayor. It's all of the residents in this area that know that liquor exacerbates violence. So thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Anyone else that would like to speak under public comments?
Hello, Mayor, City Council. Bob Cobb. I'm here to tell you that last week I was out in my side of my yard cutting grass, and I'm cutting a section between the grass and the street, and I'm mowing down there, and I hear, "Hey, jackass!" So you know where that came from? A neighbor put a sign up saying, "Warning, my neighbor is a jackass." Okay, I didn't find that amusing at all. I find that offensive, and for her to label me as a jackass is just downright disgusting. Among the other things, the finger flag is still flying. It's pretty worn, tattered. So I'm sure she's gonna take that down and buy a whole brand new one to put up. Now, I can't for the life of me understand why everybody's telling me that she's within her rights to do all of these things when like I said, 3 times in the past, 3 different people from the city told me that they're gonna make her get rid of the chickens and tear the structures down. Well, I believe she still has chickens. I can't verify it, but her neighbor can. Why, I'd like somebody to tell me why in the past 3 people tell me that they're gonna make her get rid of the structures. They're still up, and now I'm understanding that she can keep them up. Somebody tell me what's changed? Okay, and now, another thing is when they made her move those structures out, she planted, I call them weeds. Some people, she might call them trees, but they're right on the property line. Now, I was Googling stuff and I come across a thing that in order for her to put bushes, shrubs, trees on the property line, she has to get my permission in writing. Otherwise, it has to be 3 or 4 feet away from the fence, from the property line. Can somebody tell me that she's within her rights to put them right on the property line without my permission? Because it's gonna eventually, the one is right next to the fence post. In time, it's gonna uproot my fence post and my fence. Now, for 4.5 years, I've been taking the high road and trying to get these things resolved. Apparently, I'm gonna have to take another route. If she's within her rights to do whatever she wants to do, then I'll play her game. I just want to make a comment that I hope none of you have to deal with the neighbor in the future like I have to deal with. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say, can somebody tell me why the structures are still up when 3 people told me that they're going to make her take them down?
Mr. Canelli?
Yes.
Eva has been working on this. Can Eva give him a call tomorrow to update him with the status?
Sure, we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Can we find out now from Eva? What's going on?
We've had inspectors out there numerous times. The structures are not dilapidated or in a point of disrepair that they could be cited. They were too close to the property line, so she moved them away. She was cited for a weed violation last time our inspectors were out there, which I believe was about 2 weeks ago. So again, every time we've had numerous trips out there, they've even been in the house. There's no evidence that we've seen through the inspectors of chickens on the property. So to the extent that we have the ordinances we can enforce, there's not been anything in violation to enforce.
What about these trees that he's talking about?
I don't know anything about the trees. There's a fence along the property line, so if she planted them and didn't move the fence, I would presume they'd be outside of the property line on her property, but we don't regulate or issue permits for the planting of plant materials. So if there's a concern about where the boundary is, that's not a city issue relative to her plants.
Mr. Rodney, Eva wants to speak.
I was just going to add, the first 2 responses were accurate. Second, with the trees, we can send neighborhood services out to investigate to see the extent to which they're along the property line or otherwise. And we can engage tomorrow.
They are on the property line, and like I said, I Googled something that says, in order for her to put them on the property line, she has to get my permission in writing to do that, otherwise it has to be 4 feet away from the fence. They're looking at, I call them weeds. You might call them a tree. I'm talking to Jim Torrey. She might call them a tree. Call them a tree. They're right on the property line. Like I said, one is right up against the fence. In time, it's gonna raise that fence.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb. We'll take a look tomorrow.
Do you have a copy of the ordinance about the property line, Eva?
I do. I can send that.
Can you explain it to him, though?
I can.
Thank you.
I can do both.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak under public comment? Seeing none, I did receive a request for closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition or conveyance pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will be adjourned?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Cardenas?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilwoman Navarro?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Mayor Darcy?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Right on.